Today, we're tackling meat.
An estimated 10 million Americans have gone vegan.
We calculated how much saturated fat you eat in a typical week, and it was 2.5 pounds. That amount.
You got a way of making a point, you know that?
In fact, you have the heart of an 85-year-old.
Is it reversible?
Yes.
Because one of the things that a plant-based diet does that's not generally known, we can cure heart disease now.
Between 10 and 50 bacterium are enough to have killed these children. Thousands of them would fit on the head of a pin. You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it.
Kevin contracted E. coli 0157H7 and developed hemolytic uremic syndrome, and basically went from being a perfectly healthy, beautiful child to being dead in 12 days.
She died within 6 days of getting sick.
Dr. Campbell, you believe that even if animal-based proteins, meat, dairy, etc., are free from contamination, you don't think people should eat them?
No, I don't. I think the closer we get to a plant-based diet, I should say a whole foods plant-based diet, the healthier we're going to be for all of us.
I mean, we still present it as the product of small farmers. And by and large, our food is produced by large corporations in a way that most people have no idea. They're fed food that makes them sick, so they need antibiotics. And the food they're fed leads to the development of E. coli 0157 in their gut, and that is obviously a lethal microbe.
So we're eating sick animals.
By and large, we're eating sick animals.
Right.
Let me get a quick call in. Ocala, Florida. Hello.
Yes, hello, Larry.
Go ahead.
How are you?
What's the question?
Question is, isn't the leading source of E. coli over the last 5 years been through agriculture, leafy vegetables, red peppers, and even peanut butter?
Is that true, Nancy?
There have been some studies that have reported outbreaks, and there have been some recalls with regards to E. coli contamination of lettuce and vegetables, and yes, even peanut butter.
Well, Nancy, though, surely you know that the CDC has said all of those, the primary source was animal agriculture. It may be true that the vehicle was spinach, but if we're wondering where E. coli, and we know where E. coli comes from, right? It comes from poop. It's not coming from the spinach. It's all coming from runoff from factory farms.
I wouldn't argue with that. I would say that, again, that's pretty much outside of the realm of my expertise and why I'm here.
And some of the larger meat processors and grinders in this country are unconscionable and border on the criminal.
The thing that's really important that Anthony said is that there's a certain kind of meat, which is produced on factory farms, that is in every single way unconscionable. It's unconscionable to feed to our children because of the health. It's unconscionable because it's the single worst thing we can do to the environment by a long shot. And it's unconscionable because of what we're doing to animals who are raised on factory farms. What Anthony didn't say, and I wish he had, is that 99%, upwards of 99% of the animals that are raised for meat in this country come from factory farms. So when we're talking about meat, when we're talking about the meat that they sell in grocery stores, when we're talking about the meat that we order in restaurants, we are effectively talking about factory farms.
Those practices, if you read the Times article that came out recently on this most recent E. coli outbreak, it's truly terrifying. And the stuff they're putting in these burgers would not be recognized by any American as meat.
The Humane Society of the United States says swine flu viruses are on an evolutionary fast track. They say pigs are forced into tiny cages and unable to even turn around. It's so stressful on the animals that their immune systems cannot fight infection. A 2-year study by the prestigious Pew Commission on the impact of factory farms came out this time last year. It concluded that factory farms pose unacceptable risks to the environment, animal welfare, and public health.
We have to give these animals more breathing space. Certainly, all animals, even those raised for food, deserve humane treatment. And how we treat animals can have global public health implications. And the emergence of these animal flu viruses is the perfect illustration.
The recent outbreak of Pfiesteria, a microorganism 1,000 times more potent than cyanide, spawned from millions of gallons of raw hog feces and urine poured into rivers, lakes, and oceans, turning their ecosystems into unflushed toilets, is proving the most alarming. Threatening sea life and humans alike, Pfiesteria has killed over 1 billion fish, the Southeast's largest fish kill on record, and it's spreading. This water-based Pfiesteria invasion stands as one of the worst outbreaks of a virulent microorganism in U.S. history. It is a level 3 biohazard. Ebola is a 4. AIDS is a 2. And this bug mutated as a direct result of our mass consumption of animals.
Type 2 diabetes is the leading cause of heart disease and stroke in this country, and being diagnosed can feel like a life sentence.
But a Houston cardiologist says you can reverse type 2 diabetes and heart disease if you're willing to make some dramatic changes. Health Watch reporter Beth Gallup has the story.
Get rid of insulin, control blood sugar, minimize medication in just a few days. Sound too good to be true? Rosalie Isles did it. She was hospitalized, overweight, suffering from hypertension and high blood pressure when she met Dr. Baxter Montgomery, and he immediately put her on a special diet.
But 3 days after I went on this diet, I was taken off the insulin. I had been on insulin since 1987. I no longer take insulin.
By getting on a plant-based diet and getting it completely off animal flesh, it allowed us to get off the insulin, and it allows her to lose weight.
Well, I was taking 13 medications. I'm down to 4. My diabetes is under control by eating less meat.
Before mass production chicken farms, local crop farmers used to absorb the chicken manure. Now there's way too much for them to absorb.
Agriculture is by far the largest source of pollution to the Chesapeake Bay, and it is arguably the single biggest source of pollution to all of the waters in the country.
Over 8,000 people were sickened in 16 outbreaks. She was among the most grievously injured of an estimated 940 people sickened in an E. coli 0157H7 bacterial outbreak traced back to a meat processing facility owned by food giant Cargill.
Quote, raising animals for food generates more greenhouse gases than all of the trucks and the cars in the world combined. That's not from PETA, that's from the UN. But it's not just them. University researchers have also determined that switching to a vegan diet has more of an impact on global warming than switching your car from a Camry to a Prius.
And so bad that in California, women living downwind of a dairy farm were found to be having miscarriages from the toxic fumes coming from the dairy farm.
You are staring into the face of one thing scientists say you can do to fight climate change. Leave this cow alone and eat less beef. According to the United Nations, 18% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions comes from sending beef and dairy products to your kitchen table.
But if one were to eat a cheeseburger now, it would probably taste good for that moment, but from that point on, you only get the adverse effects of that cheeseburger.
He found the production of just one steak creates 24 times the amount of greenhouse gases as the vegan meal. But if you're still skeptical, how about this? Chef Mateo's chocolate peanut torte with strawberry and vanilla coconut cream.
What happens on your plate represents your most important engagement with the natural world and the biggest impact you have on climate change.
What's a consumer to do?
Become a vegan. Vegan. It's free. It's something everybody can do. There's vegetarian options at every grocery store and restaurant. It's the most accessible way and the most effective way to help curtail global warming.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I honest to God believe that they should be in jail. So I hate them. I don't know how they can sleep at night. I ask myself every day, why me? And why from a hamburger?